and welcome. My name is Carly and this is a mostly knitting channel where sometimes we do talk about other things like sewing or natural dyeing. Today we have all knitting to talk about. I'm going to be going through everything that I knit in 2024, the accessory edition. So I already released a video doing everything I knit in 2024, the garment edition, so if you haven't seen that, be sure to check it out. So like I said, today we're going to go through all of the accessories, so it'll be things like socks, shawls, scarves, hats, things like that. Everything that I mentioned today will be linked down below. I'll start with the pattern, the designer, the yarn that I use, if I enjoyed the process and if I see myself making more in the future. I don't want to spend too much time on each project so it doesn't become a super long video, so we're just going to quickly go through these, and if you have any questions about any of these projects that I mentioned today, feel free to leave me a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. So I'll be showing you everything today in chronological order, so the first finished object all the way to the last finished object of 2024, but before we start, let's get into some stats. So overall, I made 32 accessories. I did 5 hats, 14 socks, 1 scarf, 2 shawls, 1 cowl, 2 scrunchies, 3 toys, 1 item of decor, 1 pair of earrings, and 1 can cozy. I also have my laptop over here to the side with all my notes on it, so if I'm facing that way every now and then, sorry, that's just where my notes are and I can't fit them anywhere else. So the first item is the opal-sock-yarn-bunny by Susan B. Anderson. I use Yarn Inc.'s classic sock in the color Jawbreaker. This was a little bunny that I knit up for my niece's 2nd birthday. It was a really fun knit. It should have been quick. I think I had the head done and the ears done for a week or so, and then I put it down for many months and then picked it back up, and then I just finished the body in a couple of weeks. So it could have just been done in maybe a month or even less, but I definitely spread it out to be done over a few months. This was a hit. My niece loves it. It was overall pretty enjoyable to knit, given that I typically don't enjoy that type of process for making like fiddly little things. But it was pretty good and the instructions were very clear. I don't know if I see myself making this again just because there are so many other little stuffed animals that I would like to make also. But I did really love working with the yarn with this one. It was just such a fun speckled pink colorway. It was really fun to knit on. The next item is the weekend hat by Petite Knit. This is an all over 1x1 ribbed hat, worked from the bottom all the way to the crown. I knit this in my own naturally hand-dyed yarn, marling 2 colors together. So one color I used Kutch for the dye, and then the other color I used Sequoia, and that is the darker grayish purple color. I knit this for my boyfriend, and I thought using those 2 yarns would be absolutely perfect for him because he is a huge tree guy. He works with trees in his career and he is just so passionate about them. So I really was excited about using 2 yarns that were actually dyed using materials from trees, and he just absolutely loved it. He wears this hat almost every single day, and I knit this almost a year ago. So this was a very successful one and I'm so glad I knit it for him. I think I would make another one. I would like to make myself one. I would just change the pattern a little bit on my next version. There are some rows of double knitting worked into the pattern that kind of separate where or signify where you're going to be folding the brim, as this is a double folded brim. I find that that doesn't really do anything for it, and if anything, the fold doesn't want to sit where those double knit parts are, so you can see like a band of double knit on the brim, and it drives me insane. So I would definitely omit that on my next version and just do straight 1x1 ribbing all the way up to the crown decreases. Hopefully that makes sense. If you've knit the weekend hat before, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, that could be a little confusing to understand, but yeah, I would just omit that part. Next we have the Couture Beret by Sari Nordlund. I knit this in Laneras Alma in the color Honey Pie. This was a really challenging, fun knit for me. It's actually knit from the center and then you work your way out and work down to the brim. So this is the hat. It's absolutely gorgeous and just a work of art, I think. It's so beautiful. Sari has many different patterns in this couture lace pattern here. Or it's like a couture series, I should say, using this lace pattern. This one took me a while and it was challenging. I think I just lost my spot in the lace, and had I just put some stitch markers between the lace repeat, I would have saved myself a whole lot of trouble. But I was getting cocky and I thought I'll be fine without it, and then I wasn't. I had to rip back many times, but I got there, and once I just separated with some stitch markers for the lace repeat, it was a lot easier. It looks super complicated, and in a way it kind of is, but if you just follow it row by row or round by round, it's really not too bad and it is manageable to do. I love this finished project. The process of it, while it was satisfying to see the pattern come up, it was also very hard on my hands because there's a lot of twisted stitches, and that just near the end was really bothering my hands. But overall, I'm just so glad that I knit it because I think it is gorgeous and I love this colorway too. I don't wear this. I actually don't think I've ever worn this, and I think it just doesn't look good on me, honestly. I don't love the way this beret in particular fits on me. I do like wearing berets the odd time, but I just wish this one was maybe just a little bit bigger around this, the brim here, and then I think I'd maybe wear it more. But I'm just so glad I knit this. I don't think I'll ever give this away. I think it's beautiful. I love it so much, and I actually would knit another one and just make it a little bit loose around the brim here. Next we have the Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague. I actually don't have this one with me. It's down in my car and I can't get to it right now, but I'll have a picture up on the screen. This one I just love so much. I knit this using 2 yarns held together. So I used Hedgehog Fibres single in the color Iris, and then I paired it with Sandnes Garn Tynn Silk Mohair in color 4244. So the Iris colorway is definitely more purple, and then the Tynn Silk Mohair is like a nice soft bubblegum pink. And I thought pairing those two together would look really good. I'm more of a fan of pink rather than purple, so I wanted to pull out the purples from the Iris, and I'm really happy with how the fabric turned out. This one took me a really long time, maybe a year, to get off my needles, which is crazy because it's basically just plain stockinette for a really long time. And I don't know why it took me so long. It's just, yeah, I think maybe I hit summertime and I didn't want to work on it. I wanted to work on some summer projects. And then once winter got closer, I started working on it again and it flew off my needles. But it was overall super enjoyable. Like I said, it's mostly stockinette other than the 2 crowns of increasing on one crown and decreasing on the other. And I would definitely knit this again. I wear this almost every time I go out for a walk. It is so warm. Because I did a version where it's a folded brim, it's actually 4 layers of material over my ears, and that's perfect for me as I live in a really cold climate. The Sandnes Garn Tynn Silk Mohair is a little bit itchy for my liking, so that's a bit annoying. It does drive my forehead nuts, but I just deal with it because the hat is just so cute. Next we have the taival-socks by Sari Nordlund. I knit this in Queensland collection Tenderfoot in the color Venetian Rose. This yarn was gifted to me from Knitting Fever, and I ended up gifting these socks to my mom over Christmas time. These were just really fun to work on. I don't have too much experience in knitting cables, so I thought this was a good project to do. It's very simple. If you want to get into cables, I can highly recommend this pattern. I did modify this project though. The original pattern calls for DK weight yarn and has a folded over cuff for the sock. I did mine in fingering weight yarn and just did a single layer cuff. Next we have some vanilla socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. I knit these in my own hand-dyed, naturally dyed yarn, and here they are. I modified these to have a short row heel, and they're looking a little funny. They've come out of the washing machine. They're not all nice and pretty on sock blockers like when I usually show them after finishing a new pair of socks. But this gives you an idea, and you can see the cool colored, or the speckles on this yarn. So yeah, I just knit these cuff down. I did a little pop of color on the cuff here, and then did a contrast color for the toe. I get a lot of wear out of these socks. They're just basic vanilla socks, and I had so much fun knitting them because it was my first time dyeing up some speckled yarn, and I was so excited to see how they will turn out, how they would knit up, and I was really happy with that. Next we have the Going South socks designed by myself. That's what I'm calling them anyway, and this is just a self-drafted pattern kind of in a chevron texture. I named them Going South socks because it just reminded me of the geese flying south and forming that V formation. I don't have these written into a pattern yet. I'm not sure if I will. They're just super simple cuff down socks with this really cool texture on the top. I knit these in my own naturally hand-dyed yarn as well, which is just a basic like 75-25 blend sock yarn. So it's cuffed down, I knit with a short row heel, do stockinette on the bottom, the texture on the top, and then a regular wedge toe. Our next item is the tiny Shells shawl by Sari Nordlund. I knit this using Elsebeth Lavold's Silky wool in the color Seafoam, and this was also gifted to me from Knitting Fever. I knit this for my mother-in-law for Christmas. I haven't seen her yet for Christmas, so she hasn't opened it up, but I'm super excited to give it to her. Overall, this was a really fun project. It went by fairly quick, maybe a week or two of knitting. I'm not sure if I would knit this again just because there are so many other shawls that I want to cast on, but I can highly recommend the pattern. It was really enjoyable, it was super clear, and the thing that I like about this shawl is that the yarn that I used is super lightweight. Although it is DK weight, it feels so lightweight and is just a perfect little light layer to have over spring. The next item are the brick and mortar socks, and this is designed by myself. I knit this again in my own naturally hand-dyed 75-25 sock yarn. I actually have this pattern in testing, so it should be out mid to end January, so keep an eye out for that. These socks are knit from the cuff down in a 5x1 alternating rib. It has a strong heel and a wedge toe. I love these socks, and I'm probably biased because they're my first design that I have in testing, but I do love them. It took a lot of work and a lot of figuring out to get it just right for all the different sizes, but I think we're on track now, and I'm very excited to have this available soon. I get so much wear out of these. These are probably my most worn socks just because I find that the length of the cuff is, or the length of the leg rather, is just really nice for what I prefer. I also roll them over sometimes like this, and I think they look so cute. You can probably tell how worn these are by the bottom of these not looking too good and stretched out. But yeah, I really love these ones. The next item is a self-drafted pair of socks. I've just been calling these the broken waffle socks, and I knit these using my own hand-dyed yarn again, and I knit these for my sister for Christmas. These are knit from the cuff to the toe, and I just put a fun little texture on the top of the instep and then stockinette on the bottom. I believe I did a short row heel for this one and then just a regular wedge toe. I think I would knit these ones up again. It was a really fun addictive texture, and it just kind of looks like waffle but not quite, so that's why I called them broken waffle. I'm happy to report that my sister loved these when she was opening them up for Christmas, and she has worn them a few times already. We have another pair of socks to talk about. These are just some striped broken rib socks that I knit for my mom. These were self-drafted, but I highly recommend doing some broken 1x1 rib socks with some stripes. They are so fun to work on. I at least had a really fun time working on them. I used my own hand-dyed yarn for this one as well, and my mom loves these socks. She wears them all the time, and I really want to make a pair for myself now. We have a little stuffed animal next. This is the Granny Square Chicken by Sweet Softies. I knit this in Queensland collection Coastal Cotton in the color Mallow, which is the pink, and then Shark Island, which is the speckled variegated blue. And these two yarns were gifted to me from Knitting Fever. I wanted to crochet my niece and nephew some little toys, and I thought that this little Granny Square Chicken would be perfect. It was such a quick project. It took me 2 days, I think, in total. I pretty much followed this exactly to pattern. The only thing that I added was I actually sewed in some fabric as a liner to the granny squares, just because there was lots of big holes in these granny squares, and I was adding stuffing, and I didn't want the kids to be able to pull out the stuffing, so I just sewed in a liner, and it worked out perfectly. I would definitely make these again. They are a hit with the kids, and they're such a quick project. I actually want to make one for myself too. We have some more self-drafted socks here, just a 2x2 ribbed cuff down pair of socks that I knit for my dad for Father's Day in my own hand-dyed yarn. Not much to say here. They fit him really well. I would actually like to make myself a pair of these because I just think they're a really great fit to have some ribbed socks. We have another Granny Square Chicken by Sweet Softies. This time I just did a classic Granny Square, and I did line these ones as well, and I ended up using my own naturally hand-dyed yarn for this one. This chicken I ended up giving to my nephew. The other chicken I gave to my niece, and he was so cute when he got this chicken. He loved it so much and just immediately brought it up to his face and gave it a big hug. So yeah, I love this pattern, and I definitely recommend. I'm starting to realize how many self-drafted sock patterns there are in here, and we have another one. This one I'm just calling the Leafy sock, and I knit this using, oh goodness, I don't think I can pronounce it, so I'll put it up on the screen here, but the colorway is green tea. And this was some yarn that my boyfriend got for me when he was in Denmark last year. These were knit from the cuff down with just some really simple lace going down the instep of the sock, and I just love these ones so much. Here's this yarn in the green tea colorway. It is so beautiful. He definitely did well choosing out some yarn for me. And here, hopefully you can see the sock design here. Yeah, I did a short row heel for this one, a regular wedge toe, 1x1 rib for the cuff. The next item is a pair of earrings, and I just wanted to crochet some granny square earrings with some tassels, so that's exactly what I did. I had some of these earring hooks in my closet already. I used Knitting for Olive pure silk in the color powder. I had some yarn left over, and I barely used any more yarn crocheting these up. But I love them. They're super lightweight. They're a quick project. You can get them done in a day easily. You could get multiple done. So I highly recommend it. All you need to know is how to do a granny square, and then just add some tassels. You can add the hooks onto the corners of the granny squares, and then you're done. Next is the Oda's Lace Scrunchie by Marielle Skudal. I knit this in Elsebeth Lavold's Hempathy in the color Limestone. This yarn was gifted to me from Knitting Fever. I ended up knitting this for my friend for Christmas. It's just a really cute, feminine, little frilly scrunchie. It was super quick. I think I knit this in a day, and it was so fun. It's a nice little palette cleanser project. I would knit this again for myself. I think I'd like to have one. I'm not sure if she's gotten any wear out of it yet, but I think that she'll like this one. Changing it up a bit, we have a succulent plant now, and this one is designed by Catherine A. Watson. I knit this in Elsebeth Lavold's Hempathy in the color Olive. This one I knit up for my boyfriend so he could have a little plant at his desk at work because he doesn't have much natural sunlight coming in, and this was so fun to work on. I think I finished this in a day or two. It just became super addictive, and I could not put it down. I had a whole lot of fun knitting this one up. I actually put it into a little ceramic pot that I made too. So it was really fun to put the handmade plant and the handmade pot together and gift to my boyfriend. He loves it so much, and people at his work are always commenting on it and saying how cute it is. I would definitely knit this again. I think I would like to have some of my own on my desk. Next we have the Rad Radish Socks by Stone Knits. I knit these in a whole bunch of different yarns, so I'll just bring it up here. This blue here is the, which one is this? The Lichen and Lace in the color Pewter. The green is the Sandnes Garn Sunday in color 9071. And then everything from here down is just my own naturally hand-dyed yarn. So these socks are so cute. I think everybody knows these socks. They're adorable. I love them so much. I would definitely knit them again. I would love to knit them again with just some higher contrast for the radishes and the dirt here. You can see them, but the contrast isn't as high as I would like it to be. I was just kind of using what I had. I really didn't want to go out and buy some extra yarn for this. So that's kind of just like the closest yarn that I could get to resemble dirt and to resemble radishes. Overall, I'm happy with them. I think they're really cute. And at least the sky and the leafy stalk of the radish is a high contrast. So these are cuffed down. I think I modified them by just doing a short row heel. Now we have the scarf number 3 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this in Queensland Collection Dungarees Rainbow Tweed in the color Honeysuckle. This yarn was gifted to me from Knitting Fever. This was also a really quick knit. I think it took a day or two, and I knit this up for my friend for Christmas. She loves wearing tiny little scarves, so I thought this was perfect for her. I don't think I would knit this again. I think it's just kind of like a one-time thing that I would ever knit. I don't think I'd get much wear out of it, and I didn't love the process of knitting it just because you can't really get into a rhythm. I found I couldn't get into a rhythm because it's just such a narrow scarf that you're working widthwise, and I just felt like I would just get into it and then I'd have to turn and change it all up again. So I didn't love the process, but I did love the finished object, and it turned out really well. We have some more socks now. These are just some vanilla socks that were self-drafted. I used the Huesco sock hand-painted yarns in the color Alchemy, and this was gifted to me from Knitting Fever. These are just some cuff down socks with a short row heel. I did a 2x2 rib for the cuff and then a wedge toe. I get so much wear out of these socks. They might be my most worn socks alongside the brick and mortar socks. Between those two socks, I just wear them to death basically. Love these socks. Just a basic vanilla sock, but I really had a good time knitting on these. I loved the colorway. It was really fun to work with, and I knit these pretty much only at different events that I went to during the summertime, so at different festivals and while camping or at birthday parties, so I have a lot of good memories attached to these ones. Next is the Bohemian Scrunchie by Heart Gift. I also knit this one for the same friend that I knit the other scrunchie for, and I knit this in the same yarn as these socks here. I just had some leftover yarn that I wanted to use up, so that is the Huesco sock hand painted in the color Alchemy. This one was also a really quick, easy knit. I think it took about a day or two, and it was really fun. I would knit this one again. I would like to have a version for myself. Our next item is what I'm calling the Airy Shawl. It is just a self-drafted shawl, and I knit this in Queensland Collection Dungarees Tweed in the Rainbow Peridot, and this was gifted to me from Knitting Fever. This was just a really super simple shawl that I started with a garter tab, and then I just did into a regular triangle shawl shape, and I did just garter stitch, I believe, and then incorporated some eyelets. The eyelets were actually just the increases, so I just did yarn overs for the increases, and then I finished it off with a little picot edge bind off, which I just thought was adorable and really finished it off nicely. I knit this up for my sister's mother-in-law, and she's just done so many nice things for me and my boyfriend, so I thought I would give back to her and knit her a shawl. She loves it so much. It has so much beautiful drape to this because it's knit on quite an open gauge on this fingering weight yarn, and it just has just so much beautiful movement to it. I really do want to make up another one for myself, and I'm so glad that she gets a lot of wear out of it. We have some more vanilla socks to talk about. These again were just some self-drafted that I did using my own hand-dyed yarns. This is the BFL base, so it's 100% BFL yarn, and I love these. Not much to say. Again, they're just 1x1 cuff, short row heel, stockinette, regular toe. I knit these I dyed this yarn with all flowers from my mom's flower farm. So I used marigolds and hollyhocks. So the marigolds are the orange, and then the hollyhocks are the blue specks. I had so much fun knitting these ones because I was just super excited to see how this yarn was going to knit up, and every time a new speckle of color came up, I got so excited. I just would love to knit these again. Next is the Floriculture cowl designed by me. This is a free Ravelry download, so if you're interested, be sure to check it out. I knit this in Queensland Collection Tenderfoot in the colors 104 and 108, which was gifted to me from Knitting Fever. So this is a really simple 2 color work project. So if you're new to color work, this is a great option, and it goes by really quickly. I actually knit this up for my mom for Christmas, and she loves it so much, which makes me so happy. I've seen her a bunch since I've gifted it to her, and she's wearing it almost every time, and I just love seeing that. I would really like to make myself a version in maybe a lower contrast, maybe like a white and a light beige. I think that would be really pretty. I had a good time knitting this project because I think also it's my own design. I always have a good time knitting my own designs, but also I'm just a huge fan of color work, and this pattern in particular is easy to memorize once you get about halfway through. Next up, we have some socks, and these are the Colorwork Cuff Club, the August chart from Summer Lee. I knit these in my own hand-dyed, naturally dyed yarn. So this is the BFL base that I showed earlier, and here they are. I love these socks so much. I think that this color work is just so beautiful. I use some speckled yarn for the flowers in the color work, and I just had a really, really great time knitting these. I actually couldn't put these down. I think I knit these in 3 or 4 days because I was just so addicted to knitting these, and I definitely want to make more of them. So these are knit cuff down, just did a 2x2 rib, a short row heel, and then a regular toe. I highly recommend the Colorwork Cuff Club if you are a sock knitter and you like doing color work. It is so fun to get a new chart every month. We have the Essential Beanies next by Andrea Garn. I knit this in Malabrigo yarn. Rios Glitter is the color, and I knit this for my brother-in-law no, not my brother-in-law. I knit this for my father-in-law for Christmas. I haven't gifted it to him yet because I haven't seen him, but I'm very excited to give it to him. It's just a really great hat pattern. It's a 2x2 rib. It comes in different yarn weight options. This one was worsted weight, I believe, this yarn. So it went by fairly quickly, maybe a couple of days. It's a really great gift knit option, and it has a really nice fit too. I have my own version in a DK weight that I wear from time to time. But yeah, I always really enjoy knitting this pattern, and I think the crown decreases look really neat and tidy. So this was my second time knitting this pattern. I knitted it again, and you'll see in just a few moments here, but I would knit again for a 4th time as well. I have another Colorwork Cuff Club from Summer Lee. This is the August bonus chart, so she let out 2 charts that month, and I knit these in my naturally hand-dyed yarn, the BFL base. I, again, had so much fun knitting these. God, can't get my words out. I had so much fun knitting these. I just love to see the color work and to see how the different colors play together. I really, really like these ones. So again, 2x2 cuff, a little bit of color work. I modified it and did my usual short row heel I do, and then just the regular wedge toe. I would knit these ones again in a heartbeat. The final accessory that I knit in 2024 was again another Essentials beanie by Andrea Garn. I knit this in Queensland Collection Fair Isle in the color Sandbar, and this was gifted to me from Knitting Fever. I knit this hat for my brother-in-law for Christmas, and when he opened it up, he was blown away. He just thought the colors worked so well together, and he thought the pattern was amazing. And I had to tell him, I was like, I didn't introduce all these colors. This was just like a color-changing yarn, and he just, he was so happy with it. He loved it so much. So again, I love this pattern. It's a great gift knit option, and I'm sure I'll be making more in the future. Okay, there we have it. Those are all the accessories that I made over 2024. It was a really quick video. I didn't want to spend too much time on these items, but I hope you enjoyed seeing all of the ones that I knit this year. I'm super excited to knit a lot more socks in 2025, and I think I'm going to be knitting more shawls this year as well. I'm really excited for the year ahead, and I'm excited to put out more videos this year. I will hopefully have a video out soon about all of my winter making plans and my 2025 knitting goals, so keep an eye out for that. Until then, happy knitting, happy making, and I'll see you all later. Bye!